All right, everybody, welcome back to the Rathletes Podcast. I'm here with Tyra. Tyra, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm excited.
It's just gonna be a good time. It should be a good time. I'm glad that we finally got the opportunity to connect and stuff like that and get it into the swing of things. So how's everything going for you today? I know we're briefly talking about the pod, but just for the people.
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good. It's beautiful outside. Can't complain.
Okay, sick. Where are you at right now?
I'm in California. I'm by San Francisco.
Okay. Yeah, when you were saying that yesterday, for some reason I was thinking you were on the East Coast. And
yeah.
I was like, maybe she's on the East Coast. I don't know, like the time difference or whatever. So
It's definitely hard with the time difference and everything.
Right, trying to get that all situated. But okay, all right, cool. Right on. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. I got a few icebreaker questions for you. And then we'll swing from there. So would you rather be hot or cold?
Definitely hot.
Definitely hot.
Yeah. I only say that because if I'm too cold, I don't move. I don't do well in cold. All the way.
Muscles get all stiff and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was the same way. I prefer to be hot. I went somewhere where I went to school at. It was cold. So cold is cool though when you get to see the snow and all those different types of things, but not for too long. It's definitely temporary.
Not for too long.
Right on. Would you rather prefer to wear Nike or Adidas?
Definitely both for training purposes, but Nike for like casual wear.
Yeah,
it's a little more appealing.
You got a favorite Nike shoe?
All of them. Honestly, I'm a Jordan girl.
Okay.
I love Jordans, but yeah.
Okay, sick. Would you rather have chocolate or vanilla ice cream?
Definitely chocolate.
Chocolate?
You can do more with it. You got milk chocolate, you got dark chocolate. You can only have one vanilla.
Do you like Rocky Road?
That's pretty good.
I don't know. I think if I was to mess with chocolate, it'd have to just be Rocky Road. I can't go. I'm not a chocolate chip cookie type of guy.
Really?
I like more like the vanilla, sweet, like white macadamia and all that type of deal. So
okay.
All right, and then last one. Would you rather have a rewind button or a pause button on your life?
Definitely a pause button. Only because I don't get to enjoy usually what, like in my presence, in the present time, I don't get to enjoy the things that I've accomplished. I'm always working towards bigger things. So definitely a pause button to just enjoy life for a second.
Yeah, that would be nice. When I was getting this question up, I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I definitely wouldn't do rewind. I would have to say pause. Cause I feel like, especially ever since like graduating from high school, I don't know what year did you graduate?
18.
Okay. So I graduated 17. And like, I just feel like ever since graduating high school, like everything has just been like fast paced, back to back to back. You never have no time to just be like, all right, I'm just chilling.
Right. It's so fast.
Yeah. A pause button would definitely be nice. We got maybe have to figure out some way to like try to implement a pause button, talk to like the government.
I know,
we
should.
All right, man. Well, I like to break this podcast up into 4 segments, and we'll go ahead and start off with the first one. So tell us a little bit about your journey through like to where you are right now, journey through sports, early childhood days, and talking about like college and all those different types of things. Let's just get a little background into how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, sure. So just for a little background, I grew up in a small suburb of Denver.
Okay.
I was there for I think 11 years, and then we moved up to South Dakota. And then through that, during middle school, I played basketball and I was a thrower on the track team. I really enjoyed sports. I really enjoyed like engaging with other people. It was a small school, small community, so everyone was doing sports. It was just a thing to do.
Yeah.
So I played basketball up until my sophomore year. And then I solely focused on track and field just because I knew I was good at it. So I was like, I'm just going to dedicate a little bit more time to it. So after that, senior year, I went to state for discus. And then I got my first acceptance into a D3 school named Buena Vista University in Iowa. I loved my experience there. It was a great freshman experience. I just couldn't afford the private school cost. It's super expensive. I was paying for my own schooling, so I had to make a decision. So
Did
after
they pay like did they give any benefits like school wise? Like was it like did they have you on like a meal plan or anything of any such?
yeah, so with that school, they didn't give track like athlete scholarships. They gave more academically based scholarships. So I mean, it just depended on how well you did in high school, how serious you took it.
Right. They try to pick and choose, like little favorites
Yeah,
a little bit. Huh?
exactly.
Oh, man.
So after that, I went to a JUCO named Iowa Central. They were, I think at the time, they were the best JUCO track wise in the nation. So I went there. I worked really, really hard. It was crazy JUCO experience. If you've ever been in it, it's crazy.
Expand on the JUCO experience a little bit, because I feel like that is something that needs to be talked about. Because there's a lot of things I feel like, especially in that JUCO world, that like kind of go underneath the rug.
So off the bat, I'm a super ambitious person. I'm always wanting to learn. But in the JUCO world, everyone is like that because they're obviously trying to go higher in their respected sport.
Right.
So everyone's cutthroat. Everyone's, working super hard. The workouts were crazy.
This is at one of the top JUCOs too, huh?
Yeah. So I was in the best shape of my life because we had so many punishments.
Yeah.
I mean, JUCO, it's just crazy. You could do anything and you're on punishment. You gotta go run.
The littlest thing.
The littlest things. I met a lot of cool people there, a lot of great connections. And then from there, I went to Dakota State University. They're an NAI school in South Dakota.
Okay.
And I was able to get on scholarship with them. It was a great experience. So that's kind of my track career up until then.
So so obviously from the standpoint that, you left the school that you originally signed to out of high school, was there any other like motives outside of the fact that like tuition and paying for school was just tough? Like, was it like something that was a big challenge for you to be able to leave? Like, were you scared? Like, how was that like, perspective? Because that's like, you signed to a school, you're like, okay, I'll be here for 4 years, but it doesn't work out like that. And then you end up going to junior college. And I know, that's a big transition just in itself, school being paid for, no school being paid for. So what were like, outside of, the tuition aspect, how were the like motives and how were you feeling like making that transition to JUCO?
Yeah. So I think freshman year, I knew that I wanted more for myself, more opportunities. And I saw athletes that, were transferring and making better opportunities for themselves. And I knew that I needed to take that stepping stone. So getting into college was really big anyway, as a first generation. I didn't really have any
Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't really have any mentorship on how to navigate through college or anything like that, which was fine. But I knew that I wanted more for myself. That's why I entered the JUCO portal. I had a lot of decisions as to, do I even want to do college? Is this for me? Do I want to just work or, stuff like that? But I knew I had put a lot of work into my track career and I didn't want to just let it go. So,
right. How was your family feeling in regards to everything?
There was a lot of doubt, honestly, when I graduated high school. I remember feeling like people weren't as supportive. My parents weren't as supportive. They were just kind of looking out for me. And I think that helped me want it more, is to, prove that I can do it, that there's more to what's going on. So.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, because I kind of dealt with like not just like my parents in that situation, but like just like kind of like my family as a whole, like with certain situations, like it just sometimes, that's one thing that I've learned in life, that, people, when you have a vision for yourself, not everybody is necessarily going to understand the vision. And I think that a lot of people, they don't necessarily broadcast the fears of, what you're trying to accomplish. Is kind of like their own fears, situations that they didn't get the opportunity to do. So I think that, it's dope that, you still, not obviously I don't know, all the details and what your family was doing and this, not, but, just from what it sounds like, it's dope that you continue to keep going, even though like the doubt was still somewhat there, so that's really awesome. So, how was it going to that, the new school? How did things work out when you made that transition?
It was awesome. So the JUCO that I went to, it was only like 45 minutes away from Buena Vista.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still able to, go see my friends every so often that I had great relationships with. But I was also able to make a lot of good connections through JUCO. I was able to go to UCF down in Florida on an official visit.
Nice.
So just things like that. And I'm still really good friends with the people that I stayed with in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I knew that I needed that experience, that opportunity to grow and see more. And that's exactly what I got. So
nice. What advice would you give to anyone that is trying to make that transition from leaving the school, that, maybe they're not getting enough playing time at, or like, maybe they run into an issue like how you did with, a tuition and, having to pay for school. What advice would you give to, an individual that's kind of going through a similar situation like yourself, like an individual that's an athlete that's going through a similar situation like yourself?
So I think my biggest advice is to always listen to yourself, because at the end of the day, you go to sleep with yourself, you wake up with your thoughts. If you know that you have a dream and something that you can accomplish, then you have to be your biggest fan and work through all the hard times, all the questioning moments. You just gotta do it for yourself and know that whatever happens, like you did it to your best ability, and you're reaching something that people don't understand maybe. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out what's your why, like, why am I doing this? What's the benefit for me? Stuff like that. So definitely just betting on yourself. And honestly, it's not worth staying at a college or a university that you're not happy with just to see what might come out of it. If you know that you deserve better, you need to leave.
That's the truth, man. That is the truth, especially nowadays. A lot of these universities, they'll have you feeling like there's no place outside of them, especially if you get into a situation where it's like not a great coaching staff, and a lot of these kids, and we could get misled when it comes to being at these schools. So I think you hit it on the nail where you say if you feel like you deserve more, take that chance, believe in yourself and stuff like that. That's one thing that like looking back on my that resonates with me, because like looking back on my career, like when I had transferred from UCLA to Southern Utah, I always kind of felt like I played a season there. I always kind of felt like I'm like, man, like, I got to get out of here. I feel like I should be going to get more, but then like, I just kind of was like wavered in between, like, maybe I should stay here, or maybe I shouldn't stay here. But then looking back on it, I kind of wish I would have at least took the chance and said like, okay, I would have probably been transferring to my third school in college, but at least taking that chance and saying like, okay, I want to go to, another school and getting the opportunity, and like, sticking with the decision and, living with it. So I think you definitely hit it on the nail. That's some amazing advice that you're giving there.
Perfect.
Yes. So what would you say is some of your greatest accomplishments when it came to, your sports career in college and stuff? And I also wanted to ask, were you the only like child and like some like only like kid that was playing sports, or did you have like siblings, and like did your parents come from an athletic background too as well?
Yeah. So my older brother, he wasn't able to do sports because he's 6 years older than me. So when we lived in Denver, also another thing is in bigger communities, most of your athletes have to pay. So their parents have to pay that uniform fee, the initial being in it.
And they always pop you over the head with it too.
Yeah.
It's always so much.
Always so much. So my parents weren't able to afford that when he was in that age, but transitioning into the Midwest, they're super big on inclusion. So all the sports were free. We got free uniforms. So it was just a different opportunity for me, which my brother wasn't able to have, which I think is kind of sad. And I know that definitely hurts that he didn't get that experience. But yeah,
I think that and it's so crazy because I've had similar situations where I've talked with people that didn't necessarily get the opportunity to play sports due to the fact that sports are so expensive, especially high school sports. You don't even necessarily really realize it until like reflected on it, like as we are right now. And it's like sports are, expensive, man. And, like a lot of people's parents are not fortunate enough to, have the opportunity to put, their kids in sports. So, thank God that, you were able to find your way into that. So that's
exactly.
dope. So what would you say are some of your greatest accomplishments when it comes to, your sports career, looking back on it?
Yeah. So in my track career, I was able to win 3 conference championships. I also had multiple mentions for all conference honors.
Nice.
Through that, I learned, to put aside the pressure of comparing myself to others, and just focus on what I can do and what I can bring to the team. That also helped me, build a better confidence in my professional world. So yeah, stuff like that is definitely humbling to be able to have those achievements, because later we'll get into it, but it was definitely hard.
Yeah. What do you feel like set you apart, from your peers to like be able to obtain those things, like, because those are some strong feats that you did, and congrats on those too as well.
Thank you.
What do you feel like separated your game from, the rest of everyone else?
So definitely after JUCO, like I said, JUCO's cutthroat. Everyone's, motivated to be better. And I think when I transferred to Dakota State, I was still on that mentality of, doing extra drills, working super hard on my off time. And my teammates, I mean, there were a lot of them that had that motivation, but I feel like they were comfortable because they hadn't had to work up.
As hard as
they were already there.
They
were comfortable in some of the things that they did, but they weren't growing, if that makes sense. They weren't
100%.
Yeah. So I think just being able to set myself aside and keep the fire of being motivated and doing extra work by myself definitely helped me get to where I was.
Yeah. What I think that needs to be said, well, you said a good thing there, where you said like a lot of people are at those big schools, or they're at a school and they sign out to a school right out of high school and they get comfortable. And I think that to shine light on like you having that hunger mentality and continuing to keep going, and always finding ways to get in extra work, and not letting up and stuff too as well. I think that is a reality too when it comes to like separation, when it comes to like when you see professional athletes and like the athletes that kind of get the opportunity to play professional. Would you say that that's a mindset that anybody should take, especially when trying to get to that next level?
Yeah, I definitely think that the more serious you are as an athlete, the more you're gonna set yourself aside. And this isn't just like saying, oh, I'm better than everyone else or anything like that. It's just you have a different focus. You're more focused on what you can do, how you can improve, instead of, goofing off at practice and not really getting anything done, or taking shortcuts in your drills that are going to set you up to be an elite athlete, essentially. So just just setting myself aside and making sure that you know where your priorities are at is super important as an athlete, and not letting other people's behaviors waver that. Definitely.
And with the area that you were in, how was it culturally for you? Like, was it different? Like, because that's where you said Dakota, right? Yeah. So like how cold, like, cause I mean, that's Iowa, Dakota, like those, how was that culturally for you? Like, let's expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So, my experience, I've really only been like the only Black girl in any school that I've been in. And that has been challenging. I've experienced a lot of racism, a lot of comments from coaches, teachers, any staff really, which I think also made me more hungry because I was set as an underdog, essentially because of my skin color, because I look different than the majority. So I was set as an underdog. That's how my whole career has been, because I feel like I'm always fighting for that next spot, even though I'm already there. It's just because I'm put in a different label, basically. So that has been really hard in my whole track career. Yeah.
And I think that's a reality. That's why I wanted to ask, because for me, I went to a school too that was in a smaller area. That was a big culture shock for me too as well. I didn't personally deal with much racism being down in Southern Utah, but us on our I think that it's important that we have conversations like this, especially as athletes, so that we let other races and stuff know too as well that this is a reality, especially as Black athletes. This is a reality. And that's not to go to say that all individuals are like that, but it goes to say that, like, we deal with things that, especially being in these smaller parts of America, that are tough, and I think that it's important to, like I said, shine light on that. And that moves us into our next subject. When it comes to the mental side of the game, as an athlete, for you, did you deal with like any mental struggles when it came to playing sports, and how was that like process for you?
Yeah, so mental health in sports is definitely something that I think needs to be talked about more, especially in the past 2 years. We've lost so many athletes due to suicide because no one's listening to them. Literally, like our athletes are with these coaches probably 60 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
They have a huge influential part in their lives. So when it's negative, your athletes are going to be negative. They're not going to want to be around that all the time. That's draining. So throughout my collegiate career, I went through a lot of the struggles with my coaches. Being a Black woman in sports, it's kind of hard to navigate because there's obviously not a lot of ethnicity, and
especially being in that area, those areas that you were in.
Yeah. Yep. So through my experience, I dealt with a lot of racism through stuff that my hair or the things that I wore that wasn't any different from anyone else. I was just picked out. And it was even worse because the coach was Black. So it was hard because I knew that he's in a demographic where he's subject to following
the system. And it's
absolutely.
I'm understanding you. Yeah,
absolutely. So the last 3 years at Dakota State, I haven't really opened up about this because I wasn't sure how to even bring it up. But my coach, he would talk about my hair, my social media. He would just do a bunch of weird stuff, but it would only be towards me. And through that ultimately made me lose my love for track. There at the end of my season, it was just really bad. The comments were getting really bad, stuff like that. Just like I said, being around that environment every day for say 5 hours of training,
that's tough.
That's a lot. Yep, that's a lot.
I think, and thank you for sharing that too as well. Especially on this platform, I find it I find it very, like I mentioned earlier, important that we have these type of discussions, because this is a reality for a lot of athletes that are going around the world, that are dealing with these things, and like conversations, like you said, this is what you said 3 years ago, or how?
Yeah. So this has been 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is 3 years. So, a lot of athletes, I feel like we don't know how to necessarily express the things that we go through in, you know, our designated sports because
Mhm.
of, you know, and in simple terms, it's a system that we are following the majority of the
Yeah.
time. And like the system is embedded in us all the way, you know, from when we first start sports unconsciously, we don't know it. But, you know, I think that we think that, okay, you know, we have to just kind of suppress things. We have to just, you know, not talk about things and stuff like that because, you know, that's right or that's wrong, or we don't want to get in trouble, or this person thinks this way, that person thinks that way, you know? So we don't find a way to necessarily know how to express those things. And I think that, you know, that's, it's very unfortunate because, you know, for somebody that, like you said, you've been playing, you know, the track since, you know, high school, early days and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
to have to, you know, lose a love of the sport just due to the fact of how someone is acting and someone is, you know, pushing these things onto you, you know,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, man. And I think it's like I said, it's a reality for a lot of athletes because, you know, whether that's having, you know, outside of race, but like outside of racism, but like just having like a bad coach or just having like, you know, bad energy around a program, or, you know, being misled when it comes to, you know, just with a lot of things, like being misled when it comes to playing time and, you know, what you were going, what you were expecting to get, you know, it's tough. It really is tough.
Yeah. And
And
I think a lot of people don't understand that sports is a business.
yeah,
There at the end of my career, I was really able to see the transparency
mm,
of, these coach, you're a number, basically.
mm,
Like
yep,
I ran into I fractured my ankle in a meet, and not even like 24 hours later, my coach was telling me to get back into practice, to, push through
wow,
it, because conference was, I'd say, like 2.5 weeks later.
wow,
And I was projected to win my events and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I knew that at that point, I was seen as a number. It didn't matter what I was going through as an athlete. I had
yeah,
to push through it, potentially risking another whole season because I didn't let myself heal.
yeah,
Or do I try to compete for this one meet and maybe come out with a championship?
yeah,
So I think it's just so important that athletes, especially in high school, realize what they're signing up for, because there's a lot of hidden blankets, I guess,
yeah,
on what's actually going on in programs.
mm-hmm.
They can hype it up so good. We have
Yeah,
so much money. We have
all the
all
food,
these resources. The buses are so clean. We
yeah,
got
yeah,
no.
yeah.
And you get there and you're like,
What is
really?
this?
Like
Yeah.
this is what I got. And then your athletes aren't happy. That's
hmm
retention rate.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That's and that's the truth, and it's a sad, unfortunate reality. I think that, you know, a lot of athletes we do, a lot of athletes we do the sport because we feel like we have to, in a sense, and like we don't have, you know, that identity outside of sports. And I can say this because I know I was the same way, and I know that I've had conversations outside of, you know, social media and all these different types of things where people have talked about things like this. And, you know, I feel like you hit it on the nail when you say that you have to realize that sports is a business. And I think that, like, once you start to realize that sports is a business, you find ways to make the exchange beneficial for you too as well. So I think that, you know, you don't just you don't fall too deep into the, oh well, you know, we look at we don't look at we don't fall so deep into the, okay, our coach is like a quote unquote superhero, this program is a quote unquote superhero, like we are the superheroes and this is a, you know, an exchange happening between two superheroes. So I'm going to benefit, you know, just like how you're going to benefit. I'm going to get my education, but I'm going to know at the end of the day, at any point in time, you know, playing time could be messed up, or, you know, I could get injured and you guys act this way or do that, you know, stuff. And that, and that's something that, you know, I spoke about. I don't know if you got the opportunity to listen to the first episode of this podcast, but I spoke about that, you know, and with my journey of just having a coach, you know, or having a program that, you know, I thought that I was going to spend 4 years at, kind of, you know, in a sense disown me after, you know, I wanted to take up a stand and, you know, better my health and get myself back, you know, to where I wanted to, where I needed to be at. And, you know, it was just kind of like, it was definitely, it was very cold hearted about how they went about it. And, you know, you just had, after that, I woke up and I was like, you know, this is how it works and it operates. And, you know, I think that it's powerful for us to be able to have this conversation, because for the next person that's coming up, or for the person that is in college right now, or, in high school, getting ready to make that transition, or even thinking about, joining sports in middle school, whatever, they're able to hear and see that, this is actually a business, and these are real life athletes that dealt with situations like this.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that you say how your experience is after, like how they treated you after that experience, because I had a similar situation. I went to the coach telling him, these are some things your athletes are saying that they need from you. As a leader, I'm bringing this to you so I'm leaving. So you have all these players that have these concerns, these problems, these mental health issues. I'm bringing it to your attention. And he took it as a big ego hit. And I got deleted from all the social media on the websites.
Wow.
All my accomplishments are gone. So it's just like, it's interesting to see how much they will glorify you when you're benefiting them, their program, their school. If I was a brandable athlete, so I was bringing them athletes.
Yeah, that's true.
Me, oh, Dakota State, what do you think? I still have people asking me about the school and asking me about the program. So why would you want to treat someone like that with such disrespect is what I don't get.
Yeah, that's that. It's crazy, man. And you see so many, like, I don't know. Are you familiar with who Reggie Bush is? Yeah. Okay. So like same situation with him, where, the program that he gave a lot of time to, and, such and such, they kind of, they'll weed you out. And, I don't think it wasn't until recently where he, finally got the opportunity to get back into the mix at USC. But it's crazy, man. Like how, and even, I could speak about football stuff, because obviously that's the sport that I play. But did you see like the instance with Manti Te'o, that situation too, as well, where, you've built this guy up, man, and, you put him on this high pedestal. He's on the highest of the highest pedestals. And, a situation happens to him that is not, because I don't think it was in his control. I mean, honestly, I think, just the dating world, and, it's what it was. But, you guys just tear him down. And then, like, at the same time, like, these programs, and these people, that are supposed to be, supporting you and supposed to be, helping you, in an instance, it could just all change. And I think that that's the reality of, the sports world, that has happened. It's happened before our time. It's just not being talked about enough. It's not being brought to light, and it's not enough athletes, and I pray, at some point in time that, it gets to the point, but it's just not enough athletes right now that are coming out and, speaking about it. And I think that once we begin to unite and take a stand and realize that, we are more than like what we do sports wise. And, we can have conversations. It's okay for us to talk about things. And, you don't have to worry about, oh, well, I got to see coach on Monday. And, coach might say X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm a human being, just like how you're a human being, coach. I'm able to, express myself just like how you express yourself. So, don't be so fearful of losing, the scholarship, or losing, X, Y, Z. Because at the end of the day, the things that we're fearing 9 times out of 10 don't even end up happening anyway. So it's just all in our mind. So I think that it's important. I really, again, appreciate you for sharing that too, as well. Cause I think that's a real reality that's going on here. That is a real reality. So how, for an athlete that is, struggling with finding that identity outside of sports, what would you encourage them to do? Like, what are some things that, helps you find your identity outside of sports, and, you be able to get yourself through your mental struggles and stuff in the game?
Yeah. So I guess just a little bit, it's been nice taking a break from my sport, but it's also been sad. I didn't want to leave my career feeling, any type of way other than accomplished, like happy about it. But I think from that experience, it's fueled me to make more opportunities for myself, regardless of the support that I may have or may not have had. I mean, working hard for your accomplishment, despite the mental strain, the pressure, the negative energy. I just think it's super important to always bet on yourself. Always, remind yourself that you're worthy of being in the position that you're in, even though you have so many people saying you could be better, you need to be better. You're still good. Like at the end of the day, you're still in the position that you're in because of the hard work and the accomplishments that you've made. So
yeah, that's dope. And I think I actually was having a conversation with a buddy last night about that, you know, regardless of what the pressure is that's coming, especially in sports, regardless of what the coaches are saying, or regardless of, you know, how you're feeling, like you are there, you're in the moment, you know, you know, you have the college offer, you know, you're playing a professional sport, you know, you're on the varsity team in high school, you know, you're there. And I think that, you know, you mentioned something in the beginning of our conversation about just being able to have, we were talking about the pause and, you know, rewind button. I think that, you know, just being able to be in the moment, and having and resonating the moment as much as we can. I know things move so fast now, especially as athletes and outside of being an athlete too as well, that if you could resonate in that moment and, you know, look at that moment and then realize where you were at, you know, 3 years ago from that moment, it's like, man, like, okay, I actually did, you know, what I said I was going to do, and I'm here. And, you know, that's the thing. Keeping the main thing is the main thing. You know, my best friend says that all the time, you know, keeping the main thing, the main thing. And I think that that's something that, you know, is really important. So, yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, what are you up to now? Like, what's how's life been after sports? How's that transition been?
Yeah, so it's been good. It's been really nice to let my body just take a break,
Yeah.
not having to always be up working hard. Like it was
Somewhere around
fun.
5 o'clock in the morning and stuff.
No 5 o'clock wake up lifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been nice, but it's also been a little difficult, navigating. You as an athlete, you have a busy schedule from 5 a.m. to 7 if you have a
Yeah.
job. So it's just navigating now, spacing out my time. I can just relax a little bit more. I don't have to
Yeah.
have a busy schedule.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. It's just learning how to relax, I
Yeah.
think.
Don't have to worry about anybody yelling or doing anything like that, you know.
Yep.
That was always the worst. Waking up at, you know, we used to have weights at 5 o'clock in the morning. Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, having the coach yell and, you know, do this, do
Yeah,
that. It's cold. We used to work outside, work out outside. It's cold as hell outside. All
exactly.
different types of stuff. So,
Yep.
oh man. So, right on. So if you could give an athlete any advice right now, like when it just comes to, you know, just reflecting on all the things that we've talked about up until this point, if you could give an athlete any advice right now, whether that be on the mental side of the game, whether that be on, you know, the athlete, like just like the getting offers, or, you know, educational wise, or, you know, that life after sports, like what advice is like a pivotal, something that has resonated with you, you know, something that you've thought about, that you've been able to reflect on, what advice could you give them right now in regards to that?
Yeah. So I guess my biggest piece is to prioritize your mental health and your physical health, because at the end of the day, sports aren't forever, but those lessons that you go through and the pressure that you get put under is what's going to help you grow. So always be willing to learn and grow past your sport. This could be, networking with people, your staff, other athletes, is just making bigger connections, making bigger opportunities for yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you surround yourself with a network of people in the position or in things that you love too, you're going to be able to do so much more with it.
Mm, that's dope. I really appreciate it, Tyra. I think that you have, you know, shared some valuable information on here. You know, giving a lot of interesting perspective too as well into the side of the game. I just think about, you know, how, you know, just when I created this platform and stuff, and being able to have athletes come on here and have these conversations and stuff, I think is really dope. I'm glad that you found the page and stuff and reached out, because I'm like, man, like you know, even looking at, you know, the stuff that you had sent me, I'm like, man, like it'd be really dope to have her on the podcast and stuff. So I appreciate you, you know, for, you know, being in this moment, you know, sharing it, this information with us, being able to come on here and be vulnerable about your situation and pay it forward to the next person and stuff too as well. You know, I just want to say I really appreciate, you know, that, and just thank you for, you know, sharing all this information too as well. Is there anything that, you want to leave us out with, or, share your social media or anything like that? I know you're in the marketing field, so, share your social media a little bit.
I guess my biggest thing is to say thank you for letting me hop on, talk about my story. I haven't told anyone any of that stuff yet, but I think it's super important to be vulnerable, because a lot of athletes go into it thinking it's sweet, and most times it's not. So I think the more vulnerability that we have in transparency about the sports world, the better our athletes are going to be as a whole. And honestly, I just want to see people get what they deserve, like get the recognition that they deserve for their hard work, because being an athlete, being an entertainment center as a whole is hard. So yeah, but I just want to say thank you for letting me hop on.
Yeah, I appreciate you for coming on. I really do. This is really dope. And again, like I said, I think that, the audience will gain a lot of value from this. So this is Tyra again. I really appreciate you for coming on to the show. And thank you guys for coming and tuning in for another episode of the Rathletes Podcast. I'm signing out.